Welcome everyone to today's video. My name is Dimitar from the Dimitrov Boulez Piano Duo, and in today's video I want to talk to you about Prelude number 15 from the Preludes, from the 24 Preludes by Chopin, Opus 28. Number 15, this one. A lot of people know this prelude as the Raindrop Prelude, which is originally not the name given by Chopin. But more particularly, I want to talk about the middle section of the prelude. Yesterday I was kind of in a mood that was darker, realizing certain things about life. I'm sure that happens to all of you. And I was thinking about what piece could I enjoy diving into and talking to you about. And I thought this middle section, which is so... Anyway, if I continue like this, I won't be able to stop and I will just play and not talk to you about this piece. But that's how I came to the idea to talk about this one. It just fits so well with the way I was feeling yesterday. And I wanted to talk to you about the phrasing. One thing that you have to know is this repeated note. You want this repeated note not to overshadow your left hand. That's one of the things you need to pay attention to. Why? Because it's a repeated note, because it's note that fills in the rest, what's happening in this section, and what's actually more important. If we have to say what's more or less important, they all help each other, all the voices help each other. But it is nevertheless something secondary. Now, what I would do is I would have it a little bit softer than the left hand, and I would also, despite having it softer, I would go with the waves of the left hand. So when you make a wave, because nothing is happening in the left hand. In the fifth bar, because I want the left hand to always come as a priority. I want the left hand to always be something that's our primary voice, our primary motive that we want to listen to, and therefore you need to control your right hand. Now, the second thing that you need to pay attention to is when you phrase. I've heard that a lot with a lot of students. They play both notes equally. I wouldn't do that. I found a way that I personally love. We have different interpretations, and I loved to have an interpretation where you have Can you follow what I'm doing? I'm looking for a melodic note. I don't know if you are noticing, and I'm going to explain it to you exactly what I do. In the first bar, I begin with the lower note. C sharp, D sharp, and then C sharp, B sharp from the upper voice. So I start with the first two notes of the lower voice, and then upper voice, then again lower voice, upper voice then. But then in the third bar, I continue just with the upper voice. Because that gives me a very, very beautiful line. Look, if you're only phrasing the lower voice, what's going to happen is it's not bad, right? You have but if you follow the voices the way I'm following them, you get this. And I find that combination so much more interesting for myself to do that. Then I continue with the upper voice. So basically the second part of the phrase, I continue only with the upper voice. And in this way you can think of two different sections. You can think of the first section of 4 bars until the long note. You have those are our first 4 bars, and then begin softer. That's what I would do. Now that's one of the interesting things that I wanted to share with you. So control your right hand, and then after that make sure that you find the voicing. It doesn't have to be my voicing that you do when you phrase, but find a voice that leads you somewhere, because that's what I find really interesting. Instead of, I don't find the two voices, if I bring them out equally, I don't like the effect that gives me. Now after the 8th bar, we are coming to this section where I continue with the same way, voicing the left hand, lower voice, upper voice. Now maybe this bar is going to give away why I transition from lower voice to upper voice. If you look at the right hand, you have the G sharp, the first 4 notes, but then after that you get a C sharp and a B sharp. And that's why I transition from lower voice, C sharp, upper voice, then I go to the lower voice, and then upper voice D sharp, and then you can see that the right hand in the second half of the bar resembles exactly what the left hand is doing. We have first as a middle voice C sharp and B sharp, then after that D sharp and C sharp, and then continues exactly the way the left hand is going, D sharp, E, D sharp. So for me, when I was working on this piece, I was fascinated by that. It gives a sense of, it starts, the phrase for me resembles something like darkness, something building up, and then a very painful, in a way asking something, then darkness continues to develop, again a painful moment, and then it continues. So those moments were always very important. In the first bar, this, then again, I always resolved the second note, then I resolved the second time as well, the first chord with more tension, the D sharp, and then the C sharp, relaxing a little bit into that. I don't know, those 2 moments were very important, and this is what I wanted to share with you. When you are playing the piece, that's going to give if you're one of the people who doesn't have an idea, because I can imagine that that's quite difficult to find a way to phrase that. Always phrasing is extremely important, and not everyone has the experience to find the proper way that they're convinced. I hear a lot from my students, yeah, I learned the notes and I'm playing it okay, but I can't understand exactly how to phrase it. So I thought this is going to be helpful for you to understand how to build your lines, because once you build your lines, then the music has really a message and it becomes complete. Feel free to always experiment when you're playing something, to always experiment with voicing, to always experiment with phrasing, with dynamics, because then you become more creative yourself and you also find newer and newer things. This music is full of ideas, is full of opportunities and options to explore. So feel free to do that. Don't be scared and don't frame yourself. Don't put yourself in a frame and play one and the same way all the time. Anyway, as I always say, don't forget to like the video even if you didn't like it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel even if you don't want to. And thank you so much for watching this video. For me, as always, sharing ideas with you was a great pleasure. If you have any more questions about this piece, any other piece, whatever questions you have, feel free to ask them down below. We would be happy to answer. Again, pleasure as always. See you next week.